Hello friends, I'm Brian, and this is Gizmo Board Games. It's the start of another month, and that means it's time for my usual look back at what I did last month, to include the videos I put out in case you missed any of them. So I'll give you a little rundown of any of the ones you might need to go back and check out if you're interested. And then of course I count down the top number of new to me games I played from the previous month, that month being July of 2024. So before we get into the games though, let's go ahead and look back at the videos that I released last month. And as always, it started off with the look back at June of 2024. This video for the previous month, and I counted down my top new to me games from June. At that time, I believe June was my busy month, so that one's probably a pretty sizable video if I recall right. After that, I did a review of Soccer Blast Express, a new play game that takes Soccer Blast and speeds it up, but you can play it as a standalone game as well. You don't have to have had played Soccer Blast. It does help, but you can check out that video and check out Soccer Blast Express if you are interested in soccer. We know we got the Olympics going on right now, and soccer is one of the, at least the women's soccer, is something we're usually pretty favored in America. And it's a very popular sport around the world, football express, if you will, for anybody who's not an American. So check that out if you're interested in that. Then I did the top 10 new to me games midway through the year, as I usually do every year. So if you want to see the top 10, collection of the top 10 games that I played in the first 6 months of 2024, which is basically a compilation of the games from these videos, re-ranked and thought about again at the middle of the year, and I'll do that again at the end of the year as well. So top 10 list of the new to me games from the first half of 2024. That video is out. Then I reviewed a Garfield game, Raiders of the North Sea. So if you're interested in the Garfield game, Raiders of the North Sea, don't know much about it, you can check out my review of that game as well. And then finally, I did my 3 times a year look back at some prior 5, 10, or 15 plus year ago and evaluate the games I've played and want to play. And the video I released just last week was from 2014 games. So if you're interested in checking out the 2014 games I talked about in that video, you can check out last week's video. All right, on to what I played from last month. And it was a pretty light month for me, actually. July 2024, middle of the summer, other things going on. I just didn't get to the table a whole lot. And when I did, it was in efforts of playing games for other reasons. So I only got 24 total games to the table, or 24 times I even played a game. So not even one a day for July. 14 different games though, so I mixed up a little bit, but a lot of repeats as well. Nearly half of them were the same game, at least more than once. And finally, as you probably saw from the title of the video and the title card, or whatever gets you into this video to begin with, I only had 3 new to me games, and they were kind of spread out throughout the month. A lot of them right at the end of the month, a lot of them being 2. 2 of them were in the last week of the month, and 1 was fairly early in the month. So not many new to me games, but 1 new to me game that will only get an honorable mention because it's not an official game yet. I do have a Kickstarter preview that I'm working on for a Button Shy game. You've seen a lot of Button Shy content from me lately. That's because they've been kind to send me some games to review, and I've got a Kickstarter preview of a nice cuppa coming probably next week or within the next 2 weeks for sure, as that one is due to hit Kickstarter. I'm not even sure what day, but sometime here in August. So I've got a nice cuppa review, preview, whatever you want to call it, coming out very shortly. So that's my honorable mention of new to me game for this past month. Getting into the top 3 of the official new to me games, we'll start off with another Button Shy game, a solo game, Pentaquark. Is a game where you're kind of puzzling out, getting various elements, I think they are, into a scoring zone, basically. So every turn you're going to draw 3 cards. One of them is going to go played into what is the scoring zone, or the zone you need to complete the right 5 elements in order to win. One of them will go into kind of the holding place, where you're going to hold on to it potentially at the end of the round and put it back in the deck. But if you can't pair them up in a way to make them hold, they're going to disappear and you're going to start wheedling out of cards. And then finally, the last one, you're just going to straight up discard into the discard pile. And once you run through the deck, because again, it's a button shy game, so it's an 18 card deck, but really there's only 15 cards in the game because there are 3 additive cards that are going to make things harder and harder the more as the game goes along, and you're going to add them into your deck. So the objective is to put the right 5 cards into the scoring area and meet the hold conditions so they stay there at the end of the round, and manage the way they're going to be held on to at the end of each round. Once you've played whatever is left in your deck, you're only going to hang on to certain cards if you meet certain criteria of matching pairs or different sets. This is a game I played a couple times solo. It's a solo only. It was pretty quick. I lost pretty bad, and I'm having a hard time explaining it because I had a hard time understanding it. I had to read through the rule book a couple times, even as I was playing it, like step by step every turn, to try to figure out the win condition, and B, like that hold condition I was talking about, and then C, trying to get clarity when as the deck whittled down, I was only drawing a card or two, kind of the what do I do with what card situation as well. Again, with the button shy games being small, the rule books usually are also pretty small, so it's hard to fully explain everything without making a whole big rule book. And button shy, just the way they are, they don't have really the space for it. It was explained enough, it was just hard to grasp, and I didn't fully understand or comprehend what I was doing or the best strategy. And I guess that's decent. You don't want a game where you just knock it out and win right away. It's an easy puzzle. So this was a tough puzzle to solve, and a little nut to crack. Pentaquark, decent, but I don't know. I'll have to keep poking at it and see if I actually like it or not. But it's a decent little puzzle, as most button shy solo games are. The number 2 new to me game from last month is going to be Connecting Flights. This is a game I picked up at my local gaming store on their used rack. I hadn't heard about it, but if you've heard me before in some of these videos, I am a little bit of an aviation nerd, not super nerd, like I couldn't tell you much about like different planes and stuff. I just find flights interesting, and I watch flight videos and, you know, the disaster videos kind of as a dark side of me. I don't know what you want to call that, but I'm always interested in aviation. I work, you know, on a air base, so it's always something that intrigues me. I really do enjoy planes and flight and that concept. And so Connecting Flights, I didn't know anything about it, but I got it at a good price used. Played it. It turns out it's got 2 different play styles, mostly depending on player count, but you know, if you're playing 1 to 3 players, you're only going to play the cooperative game. But if you're playing 2 to 5 or 3 to 5, you can play either way, I guess. So if you got 2 or 3 players, you can choose which one you want to play. But if you got 4 or 5, you're going to play competitive. And if you got 1 or 2, you're going to play cooperative. And so playing it solo, I only played the cooperative style of this game. But what you're doing is you're just taking actions to buy passengers, buy planes, and buy route starts and ends, and then lining them up in a way to move the passengers on the board. And at the end of every round, more, you know, passengers are going to come out to the various cities. And they're of 5 or 6 different colors, depending on where they want to go. So you're going to try to move them from point A to point B in the most advantageous way. And this is, again, in the cooperative game. Competitive game, I think you're just trying to move them to score points. I haven't played the competitive, so I can't speak on that. The cooperative game was an interesting little puzzle. I played it on the easy mode, so it was a bit of a nut to crack. I think I've used that term twice in this video, but it was a bit of a challenge. But once I got it sussed out and kind of figured out the logic of what I needed to do, I was able to puzzle it out in the last couple turns and win the game. We'll see what happens as the difficulty advances, or if I add more people, because for a solo game, I was able to make all the routes myself. And in a cooperative game, everybody else is going to have their own individual routes to reorganize. So I was able to reorganize everything I'd bought, where in a cooperative game, you're all buying the same, you're sharing the money pool. And I feel like that could get really hard, especially with 3 players, because you're not going to be able to mix and match the routes as easily. So you're really going to have to suss it out. So I think it could be fun in multiplayer cooperative mode, but I'm not sure it'll be as winnable, because like I said, I kind of struggled until the end and won at the last minute. And so I feel like with actual more players, I just probably only want to play competitive mode, but that one seems to get the most slack from the reviews I saw. So I'll have to see once I get it to the table a few more times, but that's Connecting Flights. And finally, my number one favorite game from July of 2024 is going to be Patchwork, a 2-player game where you're just going around and picking up tiles to put on your board, and you're going to have to pay for the tiles with time. And so the more time you use, the more chances your opponent's going to get, because it's a 2-player game. So whoever's in the back of the line gets a turn. So they could pay, 1 time and get a second turn, and pay 2 times and get a third turn if you're 3 or 4, spaces ahead of them. So it's really about getting the best pieces on your board to build your quilt and earn those buttons, because buttons are points, but buttons are also currency. And then not giving your opponent a bunch of opportunity to pick up a bunch of cheap things. So it really is a good balance, very well thought out 2-player game. I really like Patchwork. Played quick-ish, had a lot of thought points, and just a good mind battle as every tile slowly falls out, and you're trying to plan ahead without really knowing what's going to be available on your next turn. I do like Patchwork quite a bit. It was a fun 2-player game. Not my usual player count, but me and my buddy were able to knock that one out and get it done. So I really appreciate him letting me play that one. That's why it's my number one game from July of 2024. That was new to me game, that is. So that's it. 3 games that I played that I hadn't played before in July. Couple of them I need to play some more. Patchwork, I would welcome playing more, but again, it's my toughest player count. So we'll see how that goes. These games might not return in a later list, but we'll see. There's plenty of year left for them to show back up again at the end of the year evaluation. And like I said, with my honorable mention, look for the Nice Cuppa video coming out. Scott Alm's 7th solo Button Shy game. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Comment below what you've been playing in July and maybe even in early August, now that we're here, that you've been enjoying. Maybe I can check them out in the future, and go ahead and subscribe below if you haven't already. I do appreciate it. Helps the algorithm even if you don't watch. It's nice to just have the numbers continue to rise. I appreciate everybody who's stuck around for the last 2+ years that I've been here. I will continue to come back as often as I am able and give you board game content. Bye.